we'll save
Yeah, we have distinguished authors in the studio with us, so we don't want to digress too far.
And as Kim says, plural, we have two authors with us, and that would be B.C. Taylor and Aaron Hunter. Now they're both writers, and but there's another similarity. They both hail from this area. So if you get a chance, if you haven't seen the new Smart Reader, make sure you pick it up and find out more about their works. So with that, a heartfelt welcome to B.C. Taylor. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, or we could go with Brooklyn.
Yep.
Right? Yes. And I think I first met you maybe a couple of years ago at the Kenosha Comedy Club. Is that correct?
I think actually a year ago. I was there on my birthday in May. But that was the first time I met you because you asked me how old I was when I was getting drink tickets. You didn't know.
Well, I mean, that's the responsible thing to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And would you reveal to us how old you were last year on your birthday?
I turned 26, but I was asked to prom 2 years ago, so that gives you an idea of how young I look.
And how was prom?
Should have gone. I would have made him a legend. No, I did not go.
All right. And also with us is Aaron Taylor. Aaron, welcome.
Yep. Aaron Hunter.
Hunter.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry. Next thing I'm going to be calling her BC Hunter. Okay. So we've never met before, but I know your mom, a lovely, vivacious lady.
She drove me here, so I have to agree with that.
Was she your handler?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have any of her traits, you're doing pretty good.
Oh yeah, I like to think all of them.
Okay. So we're going to delve into this, but Elena, you are the one that did the Q&A with both of these authors. What was your takeaway?
Oh gosh, I guess just you guys are so friendly and like I just wanted to keep talking about them. But yeah, no, I'm happy to meet you guys in person and excited to talk about the books.
Oh, so this was wait a minute. You're in that era where you don't do things on the phone. It's probably
it was Zoom. Well,
yeah,
Zoom and
Zoom.
on the phone. Right.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So we did get to see our faces, but not totally.
All right. So as far as books are concerned, I'll start with you real quickly. Elena, do you ever foresee, because you have a degree in journalism, do you ever foresee yourself not so much as a journalist, but also maybe an author?
Yeah, that's the goal. Kind of something like what Brooklyn did. I want to write fantasy fiction series, something like that. So
yes, yeah. along with all the many hundreds of thousands of people that want to do it, but I'm not raining on your parade, but to have a vision or a dream is one thing. To see it to fruition can be quite a chore. Would you agree, Brooklyn?
Oh, absolutely. But I would say Elena is ahead of the game, just having the experience as a journalist. A lot of people go into writing for the first time without any background in it, and that's why it's such a huge mountain to climb to try to become a published author. It's because they haven't practiced. People just want to do it for the first time and be good, but Elena is constantly working on a craft as part of her job.
So even at your young age, you're kind of a veteran of sorts. This current book, The Lost Witch, is not your first.
It was my first, but I have.
I'm sorry. There's been 4 subsequent?
So there will be a total of 5 books. I have released up through the 4th, but the 5th one will release this July 7th.
Okay. So tell me this: what is different with this most recent book versus your first one, The Lost Witch?
Oh, I mean, I've started writing. Funny enough, I wrote the books out of order. I know that makes 0 sense, but I did have an outline I followed for every book and for across the series. So I wrote the kind of initial parts of book 5 pretty much right after writing the rough drafts of the 1st, 2nd, and 4th books. And as I'm going through that rough draft, I'm looking at it and just kind of cringing at how bad it was, because I have evolved so much as an author, just in my grammar, in my tone, in diving into the story and the world building. So not only have I grown as an author, but the story has evolved so much. Some of the things that I wrote, I'm like, well, I changed the laws of magic with the first 4 books, and I have to keep to that and really adjust to fit the storyline and keep with Hayden's tone and her voice. So there's a lot of challenges with the 5th book, especially with it being the longest book. It's going to be longer than the others by about 15,000 words. So trying to keep the plot moving quickly, but not be too packed with too many things and just get to the root of it. That's kind of the hardship at this point.
So, what about the mechanics of writing? I mean, how do you do this? Do you have a wall where you have all these little stick-em notes on it, or you're nodding?
Yes.
That's how you do it.
Yes, I started with a corkboard probably like 4 years ago when I first started writing this book. Yeah, exactly 4 years ago in I think March of 2020. I started with this corkboard and I would just have push pins and scraps of paper, and then pretty quickly I was like, I need to have more space. So there is an entire wall in my bedroom dedicated to just putting up post-it notes, putting up scrap papers, just things that I think up off the fly that I scribble on a piece of paper and tack up there. I also have drawings. I'm not a good drawer, just sometimes you have to draw out a plot scene or a map or something like that just to really visualize the story and help you translate it into words. So yes, I keep all of my notes either on my phone or on this wall, and that's what I reference as I'm writing to just keep myself immersed in the story.
You know, that's kind of a question. I'm fascinated by how writers come about their creation. And we had Andre Debus was in the studio. He did House of Sand and Fog. He wrote that.
Okay.
And we asked him, and I was kind of expecting an answer like you, but he retires to the basement with, or at least at that point in time, with a legal pad and a number 2 pencil.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine that?
No, I can't. My brain maybe just gets more scattered than his, and I have to, oh, hey, I thought of this, which is a completely different scene in chapter 1, even though I'm working on chapter 15.
Yes. All right, Aaron Hunter.
Yes.
All right. So, your book, The Tales of the Magical Postcards. Give us the genesis or the very beginning of this. How long ago was it that you came up with this idea?
Well, as Brooklyn was talking about, some people have a background in writing, and I did not. I was working in quality assurance for pharmaceutical companies.
Oh, I see where that's related.
Yeah, complete connection. But they went through some layoffs, and I kind of said, okay, is this what I want to do with my life for the rest of it? And I took a train out. I live in Germany. So I took a train out about 2 hours outside the city.
Well, then you're not from the area anymore.
Not anymore. No, I'm visiting though this week. So I took a train out. Hiking kind of clears my head, and I thought about what do I like to do, and travel, culture, hiking, exploring, all that kind of thing. So, well, what can you do with it? And I said, all right, I can write a children's book.
So you had an
no problem.
Sorts,
no problem.
Yeah.
Right? Just sit down and write a children's book. Let me tell you, it doesn't work like that. So,
ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I called my friend up in Berlin. She's more of an artistic person.
Okay.
I said, what do you think? And she and her mom liked the idea. I said, I should probably learn how to write, though, right? That would make sense. And so I started to learn how to write, and it was absolute garbage. For the first 3 months, it was terrible. But I did. I interviewed some friends in Germany, got their take on life when they were children, and of course my own take. And yeah, it started to evolve.
Well, and the cool thing is the way you have this book, Magical Postcards, you can go anywhere in the world with this, can't you?
You can, and that's the plan. That is the plan. There's, I think, 197 countries right now that are
you
recognized
got
by
your
the
work cut out for you.
That's so cool.
Unfortunately, some of them in very disarray.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the focus, is to focus more on the people. Because oftentimes, in my experience when I'm traveling, I'll give you examples. Iranian people or Persians, maybe Iraqis, Afghanis. I met a lot of them in Frankfurt, and my initial take was, they probably don't like me. And that's just not the case. Actually, the people, they aren't their governments, we aren't our government, basically. And so I said, okay, let's focus on just the people, the culture, the foods, and go from there. And
So do you have another country in mind that's coming right after Germany?
I do. Actually, the next 2 books I have in mind. I'll tell you the third one. I don't mind. The next one I'm going to kind of tease people with, but the third one will be South Africa. I've been there a few times. One of my best friends, he lives in Johannesburg and is from there. And we're actually going to be putting together a distribution network in South Africa so that we can make it more affordable for the people there. And that's why I'm going to go ahead and do the third book, South Africa.
Fabulous.
So,
awesome.
I'm dying to know about the second.
I know. I always want what you give me. We're going to make guesses.
Aaron, you are such a tease.
Heard that a few times.
We're not going there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron, can you tell me what the Golden Wizard Book Prize is?
It's a book prize out of the UK. I mean, it's not the what do you call it? I think once, but it's a smaller one out of the UK.
And you're proud to feature that on the cover of your book?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Somebody
Show
liked
it.
it besides me. So.
Say it loud. Say it loud. Say it
And your
loud.
mom.
Yeah, Mom says I'm a special boy all the time. So.
Okay, and on that note, we're going to take a break. What a great high note to leave with on this. Okay. We're back. I want to welcome you. This is the Monday edition of Happenings Q&A. What a glorious day, right, Rihanna?
Beautiful.
This has been a fun day, too.
It is. We're lucky to have so many guests in the studio today.
I know. We made it so special. We
Special treats.
Bring in sweet rolls. We've got little cuties.
Strawberries.
Yeah, it's yogurt. Yes. And I'm going to lunch with a client today. But that's all right. We'll keep some of that for later. All right. We have two authors with us. Aaron Hunter is with us. He is the creative force behind the book, The Tales of the Magical Postcards. Also with us is B.C. Taylor. She is a novelist and is in the midst of finishing up a 5-part book series. And her first book was The Lost Witch. And you're probably wondering, why didn't we do one of your more recent books, right? Is that true, Brooklyn?
Well, no, you want to start with the first one. It's the beginning of the series. You can't just pick up the third book.
Yeah, but you know what this means? We have to have you back 4 more times.
Oh, I am all for that, definitely.
That's a solid strategy.
Brooklyn, you said you can't just pick up the first book.
The third book.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's what I meant to say. My apologies. Picking up the book, both of you. If somebody is interested in picking up the book, they want to read it, how do they get their hands on it?
For me, it's Amazon would be the best way to go about it. As I was telling you, we're looking to set up distribution in South Africa, and if we can do that, we're going to try to mimic it in other countries and things like that. But for the U.S., the best way, if you just want to buy one book, definitely reach out through Amazon.
And Brooklyn?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Amazon, even if you're not just in the U.S., they distribute to other countries like the UK, Canada. So it's really accessible. But I have been told, I have not confirmed this for myself. Someone told me the other day that my books are available on Barnes & Noble, and I was like, oh, okay, that's new. So,
and have either of you visited our local bookstores here? We've got Donovan Scherer with his bookstore downstairs.
When did he move in?
We have a bookstore meal. I have been having a difficult morning. My apologies, folks. And then, of course, there's Blue House Books downtown as well. Have either of you approached either of the local bookstores to see about making them available there?
yeah, so I had reached out to Blue House Books, but hadn't heard back. I was out of town, though, when I reached out to them because I was traveling the U.S. for a few months. So I do plan on following up with them, but I just haven't had time between work and trying to finish this 5th book. So once the 5th book is finished, I think I will really shift my mindset to focus on marketing efforts.
Elena, maybe you could lay some groundwork for her.
Yeah, Sam's great. So
All right, let's do it, Elena.
yeah, let's do it.
Yes. You're referencing Samantha?
Yeah, Samantha, she's the owner of Blue House Books. Yeah, I
I
work with her a lot, so she's great.
She seemed pretty nice. I poked my head in there a couple days ago. I was doing some filming in Kenosha for the YouTube channel, and poked my head in there, and I don't know if she knew who I was, but I had communication with her. But again, I hadn't really heard back after a while. So,
Right.
but it's a nice little store.
Yeah, it sounds like she's doing a lot in the community just in terms of getting books into the hands of kids at the elementary schools, parent-teacher
I
conferences.
have yet to meet Samantha, but from afar, she strikes me as somebody very dynamic. And I think you almost have to be to succeed in the bookstore business.
Yeah,
Oh,
You
absolutely.
have to be one that is creative and thinks out of the box, and ever so often promoting not only her store, but being a cheerleader for authors.
Yeah, especially in this day and age of technology and just kind of a diminished drive to read books when you have TV and Netflix and streaming services just so accessible.
You know, I was just listening to both of you. I was just thinking right now about the fact I was just watching a show on Amazon Prime, and it all started with book sales.
Yes.
Amazon's beginnings were very humble.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, even that's what I'm trying to do with this book series at some point in time is turn it into a children's show.
So am I one day going to be turning on Hunter Vision or something?
Yeah, that's the game plan. Take over the world with Hunter Vision, right?
Yeah, yes. But wait, tell me this, Brooklyn, the state. What is the state of affairs when it comes to books? I mean, do young people actually sit down with a book like maybe they would have 30 years ago?
I think it's a lot less common because 30 years ago, you just didn't have the access to other forms of media like you do nowadays. Especially, I mean, even when I was growing up, there just wasn't access to computers like there is now. You have a handheld phone that you can stream on. So I would say it's definitely diminished. But I have also seen plenty of kids sit down and read a book. A friend of mine purchased the books for his kids, and she just grabbed the book and started reading that day. He texted me the next day. He's like, she's almost done. So there are children who like it. I think, though, it matters to them when their parents encourage it and when the schools encourage it. And if they're not having adults tell them that it's cool and that this is something you should do, they're like, oh, okay, not that interesting. You want to be cool and watch TV.
Kim is a big reader, and I've seen, is it my imagination, or have you kind of evolved away from the device, the reader, to actual books, or does it go in spurts?
It goes in spurts. I mean, I always liked having an actual book on my nightstand. That to me is my favorite. I like being able to put the bookmark in there. By the way, I like your bookmarks.
Thank you.
But I got to admit that the Kindle makes it so easy to expand your horizon. I mean, the library is right down the street from us. I visit the Kenosha Public Library, but it is so nice when it's sitting on your nightstand and you can scroll through and think, oh, this one looks interesting, and pick up and start reading right then and there from your bedroom. So
that's kind of what I do too. I have a little bit of a mix going on. Just it kind of depends on what I see.
So Elena, what is your choice?
I have to read a physical book. I was just talking to my grandparents about this, and I was like, do I get a Kindle? And they're like, well, you don't even like to read on a device. You need a book.
You know what I like about the Kindle, though? Late at night when you're tired and well, see, for you it doesn't matter because you're not. Well, I shouldn't assume, but if Frank's asleep and I want to read, it's nice to have that Kindle because it's got just enough light that I can read at night and not disturb the other person. Where with a physical book, you're trying to read with the flashlight or the little book clip lights. So
I don't know. I've fallen asleep with both of them, and I have to tell you, the book hurts a lot less when it smacks you in the face.
Good point. But the problem with that is then you've lost your place.
Yeah, also true.
That is true.
Can you correct me if I'm mistaken? But I was once told that on average you might see 25,000 new books introduced every year.
It could be.
I would say possibly even more.
Yeah.
But with the invention of self-publishing, largely due to Amazon, anyone can publish a book. Now, I'm not going to
Doesn't mean it's good.
Exactly. And a lot of them aren't necessarily even novels or children books like what Aaron wrote and illustrated, but a lot of them now are these, I don't know, how-to books sort of thing. And there's low-content books, which are basically just journals, but they technically count as a book. So people are trying to make a passive income with relatively little effort. So I wouldn't say that they're novels that have a lot of love and effort poured into them.
I have to say, I didn't illustrate it. And I have to say that because Victoria's a very strong woman, and I'm afraid of what she might do to me if I don't correct that. So,
well, you're part of the creative process of getting it illustrated.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So with that in mind, how much goes into, I mean, you authored the book. Now Victoria comes along and illustrates it. Did you have much input on that? Did you collaborate on what you'd like those pictures to look like?
Well, yeah, sort of. I didn't really know what I wanted when I started the interview process. And it's also important to remember that the illustrator has to choose you. So they see the story ahead of time if they like it. That's kind of the process that goes through. Victoria, she lives in Ukraine. She's from Ukraine. So she had never been to Germany. She traveled to other places. So I sent her pictures that I had of these events and these different festivals. And then from there, I said, full creativity, go crazy, do what you want, and then send it to me and I'll review it. And honestly, she kind of was able to read my mind, so I'm also a little scared that she might have some superpowers. So also I had to correct it a little bit.
So do you foresee collaborating with her for the future books?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, we talk quite often. We'll start doing some merchandising things when I get back to Germany, and she does the logos, so I go through her for everything. So.
All right, most fascinating. We have to get this last break out of the way, but the good news is that both of our authors will be with us on the other side. So whatever you do, don't change that dial. We're back. Welcome, everyone. This is the Monday edition of Happenings Q&A. We have two authors with us, B.C. Taylor and Aaron Hunter. They actually spent a little bit of time in the Community State Bank Green Room.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to Community State Bank. It is the home of local bankers, local decisions, and local solutions. Community State Bank is located at 8304 75th Street in beautiful Kenosha, Wisconsin. Check them out at csb.bank or give them a call at 262-864-2350. But if you're like me and you like to do business in person with personable people, I'd stop in and see them at 8304 75th Street.
All right. So, Kim, I know what's on your nightstand. Elena Myers, do you have a book that you're reading?
I'm actually reading the Sarah J. Maas series, Throne of Glass.
Oh, yeah?
And I've been really getting into it. So I have about 3 of the books on my nightstand right now, just waiting for me.
All right.
Yeah.
I know you write books, but I'm assuming, Brooklyn, you also read books. And
I
do you
do.
have one on your nightstand?
At the moment, I have a stack of 5 books with a bunch of different tabs on them to reference as I'm writing. I haven't had any downtime to actually read a book out of enjoyment. I've been doing it all from an author lens to help my craft and just get inspiration and ideas to kind of round out my final book as I'm finishing it.
Am I to deduce from that you kind of look at some of other people's writing styles and maybe want to emulate or borrow certain styles?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Alina and I talked about this. I really tried to craft a similar voice for Hayden as the Percy Jackson and Harry Potter series. Obviously a little bit different. She's a female. Those are both male characters. But I wanted her to be this kind of witty character, which is definitely the tone taken on in Percy Jackson. I wanted it to be funny, but also have its serious moments. So the only way that I could do that is by reading a bunch of books and saying, hey, I like this part of this book and this part of this book, but kind of combine them with my own unique voice to make it original.
And what do you hope to achieve with this franchise?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's a long list, Frank. Really, I just want to get my books into the hands of kids. Reading was so special to me growing up. It helped me through the hardships of being a kid. And I think being a kid now is harder than when I was young. So I really want kids to find this book series, and I want them to read it and relate to Hayden and understand. Basically, this book is Hayden is going through life. She's going through these series of really hard, dangerous trials, but having to still be a kid. And I want kids to read this book and understand, hey, life gets tough. That's okay. You can make it through, just like Hayden does.
But what about an amusement park partnering up with you and creating its own?
I would love that.
Brooklyn Vision, Brooklyn World.
Yes, Brooklyn World, Brookland. There you go.
Yes. Okay. Yes. How about you, Aaron? Do you have anything on the nightstand?
No, I don't read. No, I'm just kidding.
It comes out. Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm a pretty big history nerd, so I've been doing some Roman Carthage wars, because we have Roman ruins just outside of Frankfurt, and so I kind of like to read up a little bit about that. I'm going to butcher this so bad. Is it Agatha Christie?
Yes.
Agatha Christie. I have some of her books, and then I have a book meant for I think 6 or 7 year olds, Tiger Team. It's in German, so I can practice my German.
Oh.
So yeah, don't knock the story. It's just more something I can understand the reading level. That's what it is.
So are you pretty proficient at German, I imagine?
No, it depends on the day. It depends on the topic, depends on the day. I'm really focused on getting better. But last summer it was much, much better. So, but I can get by. I can talk to people. I can't really joke. Like my humor, my wonderful sense of humor does not come out. And dating, going on dates and things in German is quite difficult because it's hard to get emotion across when you're just trying to remember what to say.
So could you say something in German flattering about Rihanna and Kim and Elena?
I mean, how far do you want me to go with it?
Well, the show ends in 11 minutes.
Okay. Ja, Rihanna, du bist sehr schön heute. Und auch, ja, dir. Und ja.
Wow.
I just said you look very lovely today.
Thank you.
So,
That works for me.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Sounded nice.
Rihanna, we're avid TV listeners. Do you have time for a book?
Watchers. I do. I've got
Watchers, I'm sorry.
I've got 2 books on my nightstand. The titles escape me, but I'm a murder mystery person, so that's what I like to read.
Our daughter.
And I have to have a factual book. I can't. I'm I'm super technical and tech savvy, and
Right.
I always have the newest devices. And when the Kindle came out, I was and I loaded a bunch of books on it, and I hated it. I hated not knowing where I was in the book. I couldn't physically see that.
Mhm.
So I got rid of that. Yes, I still prefer an actual book, but I gotta admit the Kindle has come in handy on the, when
You travel so much.
right. Yeah, that is very nice. Although I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but as far as usage is concerned, has the Kindle kind of plateaued, leveled off? I mean, it was the flavor of the day, and it's
I think
everyone
everybody
embraced
that
it.
was interested got one already. It's kind of like the bread
Yeah.
maker, Frank.
Yeah, I think,
It's in the basement now if you don't use it.
yeah, I see a lot of my friends. They're old school, like Elaine. Sorry, you're old school, but you are.
I'll
But
take
it's
that.
so they're doing more. I had to help a friend when she was moving from Frankfurt to Berlin, and didn't know I was going to be getting a workout that day. But
Well,
she had 2 boxes of books, and we're talking 30, 40 kg, a lot of pounds.
Can you tell that we like books?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In the green room with the lovely chairs. I might add.
Thank you.
This underscores how long we've been doing this show. 96% of the books in here are authors we've interviewed.
Oh wow.
Oh,
That's
wow.
Yes, it really is. So I'm plotting my way through. I shouldn't say plotting because I find the book fascinating. Aaron, you could appreciate this. The book is a very detailed account of the history of the New York Times.
Cool.
And it's over 1,000 pages, but I'm a little over half.
You made great inroads when we were on vacation, but then
Well,
when you come back to reality and you can't read as much,
Yeah, that's
that bookmark doesn't seem like it's moved quite nearly as much.
No.
That might be one that you don't read on the Kindle when you're falling asleep. That book sounds a little heavy.
It is heavy. It's a big book.
Actually, I was a little intimidated by its size or girth, but once I got into it, it's actually a very easy to read, easy to follow book. It's a fascinating story, and I don't know. I guess when you get back home, you just don't have that focus time like you do when you're on vacation. So more vacations, everyone.
I won't tell you how much vacation time we get. Make you a little
Oh,
jealous.
in Germany? Oh, I know.
It's about 30 days. 30 days.
Yes, we met and became friends with a couple Aussies, and that's the same thing with them.
Yeah, I get so is envious the right word when we do travel in Europe and we in other places like in Costa Rica and stuff. We've met Europeans that, oh yes, I'm on my 4th week of a 6-week holiday. I'm like, yeah, we got to go back tomorrow.
I think I need to move. Right.
True.
Yeah, but in the case of Tracy and
Max.
Yes, Max. How could I forget? He saved our lives. I marvel. They literally, he quit his job, and I don't know. Did she take a year sabbatical from Procter and Gamble? They lived in Sydney, and flew here, bought a motorhome, and traveled our country for a year.
Wow, that's wild.
Isn't that something?
Well, I was telling Elena outside, I was like, I want to hear her Australia story, so maybe.
Yeah.
So if the neighbors at that time were wondering, what's that big motorhome in our driveway? That was Tracy and Max visiting with us when they got to this part of the country.
You see that a lot more too, with people gutting out the inside of the vans, making it more of like a what do you call it, RV, and just traveling the country or traveling into
I
Canada.
think you see that more with your generation.
Yeah, I would maybe even younger. I'm not gonna age myself, but I've seen that more on like YouTube. You'll see the van lives and the ones.
Well, how old are you?
No, that's personal. I'm
We
38.
asked a woman her age.
Yeah,
and
fair
she
enough.
was fine with
Fair
that.
enough. I'm acting kind of serious. 38.
Okay, okay. Please tell me that in the last year or two, some girl didn't ask you to go to her prom.
I think there's jail time associated with that.
Yes. Well, what can I say? It's fascinating time to be living with all the different types of media that are out there. I mean, we're just barraged with information that we can get at our fingertips in so many different ways. But I do worry about that. I think there might be a downside, and that worry or concern has to do with young people's attention span.
Absolutely.
I think that electronic media, social media, what have you, that it is undermining that attention span. And I don't know if we could start with you, Brooklyn. What's your assessment of that?
Oh, I absolutely agree with you, Frank. When I was a kid growing up, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have the Kindle e-reader even. It was me and a book. We traveled a lot when I was a kid for my brother's gymnastics, and we had long car rides. I mean, even just to go to his practices. It was an hour to his practice and an hour back, in a 3-hour practice that I was sitting there doing nothing.
He must have been a pretty good gymnast to be.
He was, yeah, he was very good.
To warrant those kind of trips.
Oh, absolutely. He was fantastic. And so, I got dragged along.
He's still fantastic, though, right?
Sure. Right. He eventually quit, but I mean.
No, but I mean as a person.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love my brother. I actually named Hayden's dad in my book after my brother. So he wasn't very happy when her dad got abducted.
And what is his name? Cuthbert?
Hunter.
Oh.
Yeah, so not Aaron Hunter, but just Hunter.
Yeah.
But I would say, I mean, when I was growing up, my parents were always like, do your homework first, and then you have a book. You need to read. Nowadays, parents just hand their kids a cell phone to distract them so they don't have to deal with them. And that's the issue.
Yeah,
that's why kids' literacy rates are going down. They're plummeting in America.
Right.
And
So if you don't have much of an attention span, you're just a keystroke, a finger away from jumping off to something else.
But
no investment.
honestly, I mean, I find even myself, I don't read as much as I used to because so often I go to bed, and as Frank had mentioned previously, I bring my phone with me to bed, my book's sitting there. Sometimes I think I'm going to go read. This is often my mantra. And I go sit in my room, and then Facebook distract me for 40 minutes or whatever. And it's like, oh, I didn't even pick up my book. So even as an adult that didn't grow up with it, I find myself often distracted by that device.
And as an adult, you have a lot more just discipline and willpower than a kid. So imagine how distracted they must get, especially now they can communicate with their friends. And if their friends are, oh, hey, you got to watch this TV show. Well, why would they read? They got to watch that TV show.
Honestly, as a parent, I mean, our daughter's 20 years old now, so it's changed a lot in the last 20 years. But even then, I remember as a parent trying to get her to read, trying to keep her off the social media. It's not easy for parents because all their friends are on it,
Exactly.
like you had mentioned it. And I remember times that we, as a punishment, would take Brooke's phone away from her for a week or 10 days or whatever. And I was always she's gonna miss out on the social get-togethers because she won't know what's going on.
That's such a stark contrast. I was talking to my mom about this last night. She was like, when you were a kid, I used to send you to your room as punishment until I realized it wasn't much of a punishment. And then I took your books away, so you couldn't read in your room. And I was like, yeah. And now people take away phones. I had my books taken away from me.
Aaron, can you add to that?
I think from a marketing standpoint, your TikTok or Instagram, things like this, as my marketing has evolved, I noticed, okay, you can see the data. How often, how long are people staying on your content? So you have to hit them really hard right away with something that entertains them and then keep it entertaining. And so I've learned how to adjust to that. But I mean, it's amazing. Attention spans or I'm just making terrible content. I don't know. But one way or the other, some of it works better. If I have castles in them, little travel things. But if it's something, if I'm just sitting on there talking, nobody wants to listen to that. Well, except for your radio show. But,
well, I can assure you, Aaron, that people are multitasking and doing a number of things and not hanging on every word we're saying.
No, I like to think they're listening.
Well, considering the number of mistakes we make, Aaron, it's good to know that they're not listening too intently.
Distraction is our friend, not our enemy. I can't believe it. This hour is up.
Once again, the name of your book, Brooklyn?
The Lost Witch. It's part of the Hayden Black and the Salem Witch Trial series.
And Tales of the Magical Postcards. First book's in Germany, also available in Spanish. So on Amazon.
All right. Definitely not underachievers. I would definitely go along with that. All right. Thank you to both of you.
I appreciate
Thank you.
And we want to thank all of our listeners. We're going to be back again tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and we're ever so hopeful you will too. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.